Really, really great news. The biggest company in the world has just suspended service in 5 more states. They have suspended service in Kentucky, Indiana, Idaho, Kansas, and Nebraska. This is really, really great news. But why are they suspending the service? They are suspending the service because these 5 states are said to require age verification. They're not going to ban, probably they should ban, but they're not going to do that. They're taking a very modest measure to say, okay, if you want to look at depraved and you want to access websites that have regularly been caught engaged in extraordinarily degrading and downright illegal activity, videos of underage girls that then the websites, they try to take down or whatever, and they're mired in legal battles over that, but really, really gross, disreputable stuff. An adult can look at that, say the states, but they have to be adults. You got to show us that you're not a little kid. And says, we're not doing business. Tells you everything you need to know about the fact that would rather stop doing business altogether than take reasonable measures to prevent little kids from looking at their disgusting is very, very telling. Let's just leave it at that. I'll be cautious in my language because I know it's very litigious because they're very, very depraved people in a very depraved industry. But let's just consider that fact. A company would rather stop doing business altogether than take simple measurements to make sure little kids aren't consuming their dangerous product. That tells you pretty much all you need to know about their business model. It tells you pretty much all you need to know about how politicians ought to think about this company. Now, let's be as charitable as we can to the maybe the argument is, no, it's not. We don't want kids looking at this stuff, but we respect the privacy of our adult consumers, and we don't want to force adults to upload proof that they're over 18 or 21 or whatever. I don't know. I guess it's 18 for the website. We don't want to collect that information on our adult users. Okay, that raises another question. Even if this is about the privacy of adults, why are adults so ashamed to consume your product? Why is that? It's a very shameful activity. And the fact that the very best argument you can make, I'm giving them every benefit of the doubt, which I shouldn't. The very best argument they can make is, well, we can't require people to show their IDs. Our product is disgusting and degenerate and a great shame and humiliation to all of the users. That's not a great argument. Right, you should probably close up shop, not just in those 5 states, but period, because what you're giving people is filthy and disgusting, and it degrades them, and it's poison for the brain and for the soul. Yeah, and implicitly admitting it. At best. And at worst, what they are implicitly admitting tells you something really, really dark about their business model. Now, speaking of getting some wins against the industry, Senator Ted Cruz, my man, TC, has just introduced a bill to outlaw revenge and deepfake. The bill is called, and this is so DC. I love it. This is so Senate, so Congress. It's the Tools to Address Known Exploitation by Immobilizing Technological Deepfakes on Websites and Networks Act. If you didn't catch that, that comes out to the Take It Down Act. Really, Washington loves a good acronym. And because Senator Ted Cruz is one of the most intelligent people ever to work and live in Washington, D.C., he comes up with a really good acronym, but that's the great. The Take It Down Act. What would it do? It would criminalize the publication of non-consensual intimate imagery, including AI imagery, deepfake. So, as I predicted years ago, I said the real problem isn't that Scarlett Johansson is going to have computers manipulate her image and make it look like she's in. The real problem is the girl in your 8th grade math class is going to have that done to her. That's really shocking, and that's going to spread like a cancer, not just among public figures, but among private figures. This is really good. There are new procedures that would be put in place if this bill is passed to require the big platforms to take this content down pretty much immediately. They also have to remove copies of the images. Really good stuff. This should have been done 30 years ago. The politicians should have anticipated this. And to some degree, they did. Back in the 90s, there was a bill passed called the Communications Decency Act, which actually includes Section 230, which is what gives social media companies the ability to skirt different kinds of liability laws. And they've come that provision has come under fire a lot from conservatives who feel that big tech is censoring us in recent years. But the Communications Decency Act initially was aimed at decency. It was an anti-obscenity act. Same with the Child Online Protection Act, both of which were gutted by liberal courts. We could have solved this problem 30 years ago. We didn't. So now we got to deal with it today, 2024. This is a no-brainer. Anyone who votes against this is real suspect. Real sus. Any senator who's voting to support deepfake, check their hard drive.
Hey, Michael, my name is Kian. I recently joined the Navy and I'm leaving for basic training here in the coming days. I'm a little nervous, but ready to go. And I would like to ask for any kind of advice you could give me, whether it be just life in general or religion or really anything. Any advice you give me is greatly appreciated. And if it helps, I'm a Lutheran Church Missouri Synod Lutheran, if that helps with the religious advice. Thank you. Love your show. Have a good day.
Cool, man. Hey, that's great. Here's my first advice. Go buy a banjo. My grandfather was a Navy captain. I got a fair bit of Navy throughout my family. My grandfather, obviously a career man, was the commanding officer on a number of ships, also of a base in Vietnam, Na Bay. And so, he was deployed for long periods of time. And one time he bought a banjo and he would just play the banjo on the ship. And I have that banjo now and I play it for my kids and it's a great little family heirloom. And it was a great, edifying, kind of wholesome recreation to have when he was lonely out there at sea. So buy a banjo or something like a banjo. Then after that, you mentioned religion a couple of times there at least. Say your morning prayers. Say your prayers in the morning. It's going to set your day up a lot better. So I like the rosary. I don't know exactly how Lutherans or your particular flavor of Lutheran feels about the rosary, but I really like the rosary. It's my favorite daily prayer. So I sometimes would wait till nighttime to pray it. And I realized I went my whole day. I didn't have, the rosary in my mind. And then I'd also get too tired and I'd often fail to finish it. So say your prayers in the morning, whatever those prayers may be, say them in the morning. And, recognize that you're in a great position because even with all the craziness going on in the Department of Defense, the Pentagon, the top brass, General Milley with his purple hair screaming about white rage or whatever. Even with all of that, you are doing something that is noble, that is missional, that is really sturdy, serving your country to protect the homeland and your friends and family and fellow Americans. That's a good thing. And so that missional aspect should really drive you. And so then the only other thing I'd say is fair wind and following seas, man. Good stuff. Thanks for your service. That was a great clip. Now hold up, ring the bell, subscribe to the Michael Knowles YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.